In relationships and friendships, it might seem as though some people have a charmed life when it comes to meeting new people. This may lead you to wonder what makes these individuals so attractive or likable to others. The answer might not be what you think. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology suggests that it may simply have to do with where they sit. There is something called the proximity effect, or the attraction we get towards people who are close to us, which can be physical proximity or social proximity. And it is likely one of the reasons why you might get more friend requests from people sitting in your class or at your work rather than those from other groups. It is also why people tend to become friends with their coworkers and classmates before they become friends with people from other fields. Have you experienced this? Let us know in the comments below. But the question is, why does this happen? Well, here are a few theories based on studies that may help explain why proximity plays such a big role in our social lives. Number 1. Mere exposure. You may have heard the phrase, familiarity breeds comfort. Well, there must be some truth to it. An experiment conducted by psychologists Leon Fetzinger, Stanley Schachter, and Kay back in 1959 had students attend class for several weeks. They found that the students who sat together more often became better acquainted with each other, even if they weren't in a group project or had any particular reason to interact. They were simply seated together. The researchers concluded that the students simply got used to seeing each other and therefore felt more comfortable around each other. This is called the mere exposure effect. According to research, repeated exposure to a stimulus like a person increases our liking for that stimulus. In fact, research shows that babies can demonstrate the mere exposure effect as early as 2 months old, by showing them human faces and then testing whether they prefer the new faces or the ones they had previously seen. The babies consistently preferred the faces they had seen before. So you might wonder how much of a role familiarity plays in your social relationships. Does it mean that if you see someone often enough, you will eventually like them? While research supports that the mere exposure effect can increase our feelings towards others, it has its limits. For example, a study published in Psychological Science showed that students who attended class more often didn't necessarily become friends with each other. There needed to be some kind of interaction between the students for the mere exposure effect to occur. Students needed to talk to each other for them to feel closer. So while familiarity is important, it doesn't automatically lead to attraction. Number 2. The triadic closure. Imagine you have 2 friends, John and Paul, who don't know each other, but you are friends with both of them. Chances are you might introduce them to each other since they have something in common. And if they do meet and hit it off, that would be an example of the triadic closure. In 1979, researchers Mark Granavetta and Larry A. Wasserman described the triadic closure in their study, The Strength of Weak Ties. They argued that if 3 people knew each other through 2 separate ties, it was likely the third tie would emerge to connect the 2 people who hadn't met yet. It works like this. Imagine a small world where only 3 people live, person A, person B, and person C. Person A and person B know each other, and person A and person C know each other, but person B and person C don't. Because person A connects the 2 people, there is a bridge between them. Since they all know each other, it is likely person B and person C will start communicating with each other. It has been found that weak ties or acquaintances are more likely to introduce people to each other than close friends. That is because acquaintances have a broader network of friends and knowledge. But why does this happen? Acquaintances are more likely to introduce to people because they have limited information about the other person. They know just enough to make an introduction without worrying about breaching any confidences or upsetting the other person. On the other hand, close friends have too much information about each other and may unintentionally say something embarrassing or revealing during an introduction. They also have a greater sense of loyalty towards their friend, so they wouldn't want to jeopardize their friendship by introducing them to just anyone. According to a research article published in the Journal of Network and System Management, weak ties are particularly important for finding a job. Research has shown that most jobs are never advertised and the majority of people find a job through personal connections. This means that having many weak ties, such as acquaintances, can greatly benefit your career, and having more weak ties can also benefit you socially. According to a study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, researchers used social media data to track the relationship development of Facebook users. They found that people with more weak ties were more likely to expand their social circle to new people and have greater social well-being. Number 3. The balance triangle. Have you ever thought about how your feelings towards someone may depend on how you feel about yourself? The balance triangle, also known as the social comparison triangle, can help explain why. Developed by Theodore Newcomb in 1961, the balance triangle describes the relationship between our feelings towards ourselves, our feelings towards someone else, and the relationship between the two. If you like yourself and you like someone else, you are more likely to like them back. However, if you like yourself and you dislike someone else, you are less likely to like them back. Likewise, if you dislike yourself and you like someone else, you are less likely to like yourself after spending time with them. But if you dislike both yourself and someone else, you are more likely to continue to dislike them. A study published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology in 1988 tested Newcomb's balance theory. Participants were divided into two groups. One group was given positive feedback before interacting with someone. The other group was given negative feedback. After the interaction, participants filled out a questionnaire to measure their feelings towards themselves and the other person. As predicted, those who received positive feedback before the interaction liked themselves and the other person more than those who received negative feedback. So how does this relate to the proximity effect? It may be that if you have a positive self-image and you spend time with someone who reflects that positively back to you, you may end up feeling closer to them. However, if you have a negative self-image and you spend time with someone who reflects that negatively back to you, you may end up feeling further away from them. Do you think you can use the balanced triangle to improve your relationships? Let us know in the comments below. And number 4, the homophily effect. Homophily is a fancy word for similarity. Homophily comes from the Greek word homos meaning same, and philos meaning love. It refers to the tendency to seek out people who share similar qualities, beliefs, and interests as our own. We often feel more connected to people who are similar to us because we have more in common to talk about and relate to. It is also easier to relate to people who share the same opinions as us because we don't need to expend energy trying to understand or challenge their viewpoint. Homophily may explain why you get along better with some people than others. It may be that you and a friend have very different interests, so you don't have much to talk about or relate to. But when you meet someone with similar interests, it is easier to develop a friendship. A study published in the American Sociological Review in 2001 explored the importance of homophily in friendship. Researchers analyzed data from a national survey of Canadians and found that people were most likely to become friends with those who were similar to them in age, gender, education, religion, political views, and smoking habits. Proximity can increase homophily. For example, if you only hang out with people who like the same music as you, over time, you are likely to get even more immersed in that genre. Or if you only watch news from one side, you are likely to become even more entrenched in that viewpoint. So there you have it, 4 possible explanations of how proximity leads to attraction. Do you think there are other factors that influence the proximity effect? Let us know in the comments below. As you can see, proximity plays a huge role in our relationships, whether it be through the mere exposure effect, triadic closure, balanced triangle, or homophily effect. The next time you strike up a conversation with a stranger, ask yourself, what do you have in common? How familiar are you with them? How could this relationship benefit you? Your answers might just provide some insight into why you're drawn to them. So psychos, what did you think of this video? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and share it with a friend. Subscribe to our channel for more psychology videos. As always, thanks for watching.